Hello, everybody. Welcome to what might be a one-off, but might be more so depending on whether you guys like it or not. We are doing a post-mortem, post-match reaction, sort of off-the-cuff analysis. Nothing detailed like any of my YouTube videos. I will be doing one of those, so stay tuned for that. This is more just sort of... Genuinely, this is just a rant because I'm so angry at what I witnessed yesterday. But thank you guys for... joining me today. Because we've got Daniel who says we need a therapy session. Yes, indeed, I totally agree. That's exactly what we're going to be getting up to today. Let me just get the chat up on the screen so that we can see that. Lovely. Hello, AI. We've got Just a Man. People finally realize how important Grealish is to the team. We'll be getting with that. Iptris, that was a pathetic display. Not a good performance, says Felix. Yeah, absolutely. Really terrible stuff. Now, feel free to keep your comments coming in. If I feel like there's something to react to specifically, I'll be bringing it up on the screen. Let's start at the start, shall we, with the lineup. As soon as I saw that lineup, I was terrified, to be honest. I didn't tweet about it because, well, to be honest, I was getting ready for Valentine's Day weekend, so I didn't really have time to tweet about it at the time. But that front five was what I would describe as suicidal. Doku, De Bruyne, Alvarez, Foden, and Haaland as a front five is mental, okay? In isolation. Never mind with putting a Kanji next to Rodri behind that front five. I have no idea what the thinking was there. If this was against a team like Burnley, Sheffield United, who else? Maybe someone like someone who will be open, like a Brighton, a Fulham, then I think that starting lineup could have been justified. As it was, we were up against Chelsea, and we knew what they were going to play like based on how they played at Stamford Bridge. We knew that what we must not do is create a team and a construct and a system by which they can easily counterattack and thrive in transition. Because we know that they have Jackson and Sterling and Palmer, who are going to be those quick front threats. We know they have Gallagher, who's going to be a pressing machine and is going to harass Rodri all the time. So we knew that there had to be another option in midfield alongside Rodri to make it a more controlled affair. And this is where I think the Grealish injury comes into play, actually. And when that injury happened, I remember tweeting, going, this is a potentially detrimental injury to City. And I think yesterday tells us exactly why. We'll be getting into the individual performances in a moment. And yes, Steve, we do need this therapy session. Elena says should have started with Bernardo and Stones. Yes, I'll be getting into what I think should have been the starting team in a moment. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, I know it's early doors, but please make sure to leave a like on the stream so I know you guys are enjoying them. If I know you guys are enjoying them, I will do more of these. And that's the thing, actually. Could you all leave a message in the live chat now? Do you want more of these sort of like post-mortem live streams and more live streams generally? If so, I can give that to you guys if you guys do want them, obviously. Iptra says, I felt bad for Rodri. He was isolated in the transition too much. Yes, totally agree with that. Iptris, yeah, so that was the starting 11. So, in my opinion, Guardiola got it wrong immediately from the start, which isn't ideal, is it? You know, you don't want to be starting on the back foot. And again, we knew exactly how Chelsea were going to play. If you guys remember the game at Stamford Bridge, what was the main mistake that Guardiola made that day as well? It was how he set up the team out of possession and in respect of our pressing in particular. We pressed out in a 4-2-4 shape. But basically, it was more of a 4-1-1-4 shape because Rodri was left on an island on his own. And the same thing as from like minute 5 when Chelsea had the ball, I saw that front four trying to press with Doku, Foden, Kevin, and Haaland. I was like, oh my God, he actually hasn't learned from that mistake. We're actually doing this again, aren't we? And it happened time and time again, most notably down our left side. I can't necessarily blame Doku on an individual level for this, because he's clearly being told to do this. But the wide players continually were being asked to press and go for Chelsea's defenders, in particular their centre-half. So, for example, Doku on Disasi was an example of like a pressing matchup. But every single time, we were committing too many bodies forwards, and the gaps left behind Doku it was just baby food for Palmer, for Gallagher, Enzo/Caicedo, Disasi to work around. That's how they were able to create those chances. Notice how many of them started on our left side, their right side. If not for Nathan Ake and his brilliant 1v1 defensive work, I don't actually know what we would have done there. Because time and time again, they were just exploiting that area and exposing us in that area. So genuinely, just from a pressing standpoint, the mistake of the past wasn't learnt there. Thankfully, we weren't punished too much in that respect, outside of the goal, which again, we will get into. I don't know if I should blame Doku for that, because he's clearly being told to do that, but this is where you need Grealish, because Grealish is better at pressing, he's better at blocking off those passing lanes, he's also better at supporting his left-back. Too many times, Ake was left on his own to try and deal with both Palmer and Gusto at the same time. Again, whether that's by design, or whether that's because Doku hasn't quite learnt how to do it properly, I don't actually know. Alvarez. Let's talk about Alvarez, shall we? Actually, no, let's talk about the goal first of all. Let's talk about the goal. Because there were two main issues with how we approached the game. There were big individual issues in the game. However, there were also big systemic ones. I've touched on one of these systemic ones. Lots of people will focus on the Walker error and the Haaland misses, which is perfectly acceptable to do. But as we'll get later into the stream, for me, the main issue is one of a systemic issue. So let's touch on those individual issues first of all. In the first instance, Haaland had an XG of like 1.7. On another day, he scores 5, genuinely. So yes, Haaland should do better. He should get at least a hat-trick. We'll get into why that's not the main reason why we weren't able to win. Kyle Walker on the goal, individually defensively. I tweeted about it. Sadly, the video got taken down due to copyright because the Premier League are massive arseholes. But you'll have all seen the goal. We give it away, again, on our left-hand side, as I touched on before. Ball comes to Jackson. I think it's from Palmer. It's not the best ball to Jackson because it forces Jackson to go out wide rather than in. So it means that Jackson has got to take a touch and step out wide rather than take a touch and step inwards. So it's actually not a threatening ball to Jackson because it means Akanji, whilst Jackson's quicker than Akanji can get to him. For no reason at all, Kyle Walker takes it on himself to sprint as fast as he can towards Jackson when he can clearly see, using his ocular vision, his eyes, he can see that Akanji has him covered. It's too late by the time Walker realises the mistake that he's made. He turns around, he realises he's left Sterling wide open. Then he proceeds to go and try to mark Sterling, by which point Jackson's already played him in. Now, that's the first mistake. However, it didn't lead to a goal in that instance. Because Walker, to credit to him, gets back. Okay? But then he decides he doesn't learn from the mistake of what he did against Newcastle twice. Do you guys remember the Newcastle game? Twice, on 2 separate occasions, in the space of like 5 minutes, he allowed Gordon to come onto his right foot, and he allowed Isak to cut in onto his right foot. You'd think he would have learned from that mistake. No, he allows Sterling to cut in onto his right foot. As City fans, we all know that Sterling is very one-dimensional and one-footed in that respect. Just show him onto his left. No. This is not pre-recorded, guys. No, this is a this is a therapy session. So there's 2 massive errors in that one phase of defensive play. which is a big defensive error. And that happened over and over and over again. And it wasn't just in that moment either. I know we caught Chelsea offside a couple times, but it kept happening. It kept happening. Jackson, I think, missed I can't remember if it was going to be offside anyway, but he did take a heavy touch and miss a pretty good chance. So we were forfeiting those situations. And again, individually, defensively, not good enough. Totally accept that. And I was the first to point out that Walker made an error. But there is a bigger issue here, guys. And it comes back to the starting lineup. Of course, the individual errors are a big issue. Haaland missing sitters, Walker being bad defensively in that moment, the miscommunication with him and Akanji, whatever. Those are individual errors. But they stem from... The only reason those individual errors are allowed to exist is because of the system and the construct by which the manager sets up the team. Individual errors, more often than not, can be associated with the system, okay, and the structure, okay? And as a gal rightly says, playing players out of position. Shout out again, by the way. Thank you for joining me. Again, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please make sure to leave a like on the video so I know you guys want more of these videos. I don't normally do post-match live streams, but if you want more of them, tell me that you want them. The way you can tell me is by leaving a like on the stream. Yeah, the way the team is set up is the first port of call in respect of, can we eliminate the need for individual errors and the existence of individual errors? And this is what we alluded to at the start of the stream with the lineup. When you play that front five of Doku, Alvarez, De Bruyne, Foden, Haaland, those are 5 vertical players. What do I mean by vertical players? They are players whose first thought is they want to go up the pitch. They aren't necessarily interested in going sideways. What you need is a balance. You need a Jack Grealish, a more sideways player, a Gundogan who can play more as a sideways player, Bernardo Silva, more of a horizontal player, a sideways player, rather than 5 vertical players, okay? So that was an issue, but then couple that with the fact that Akanji is in there. So John Stones left on the bench. I don't even think he came on, did he? Is he injured? Maybe, but then why is he on the bench? Bernardo Silva, I know he picked up a knock against Copenhagen, but he came on, so why wasn't he playing? But Oscar Bob, I don't think we've seen Oscar Bob since the Newcastle game, unless anyone wants to correct me if I'm wrong. I was desperate for him to start on that left-hand side. If you're in a LB stream with Tony the other day, you'll see me in the chat going, Bob should be playing on the left. Because he is a control-based player. It doesn't really matter where he plays. He can do it all. But I can't remember the last time we saw him in the Premier League. Spurs game, says Mikey. But yeah, maybe in the Premier League. That was the last time. I've no idea why he didn't start, to be honest. Doku, again, I don't want it to sound like I'm just getting on Doku, and I'll get into another player in a moment. We have not won a game against a Big Six side this season in the Premier League in which, in fact, I think in all competitions, in which Doku has started. And in fact, if you think about it, in a lot of those games, detrimental is not the right word, but contributing to us playing well, no, Doku was not doing that. And this is why I keep banging the drum of Grealish must start these games. And I appreciate Grealish was out for this game against Chelsea, but you have Oscar Bob right there, who can do a similar function and a similar role. Doku had a bad game yesterday. And he's actually had a bad game basically since that injury and for the past few weeks, maybe even months. Now, why did he start the season so well, but has since fallen off a relative cliff? I think it's because at the start of the season, he was a bit of a novelty, an unknown quantity for most defences in the Premier League. But then people realised that, hang on, this guy is just an amazing dribbler. Why don't we just double up on him and nullify him entirely? And that's exactly what has happened. And Doku hasn't figured out how to get over that hurdle. The solution is to do what Grealish does. You realise you found the space so that you can now find another teammate. Doku has not yet learned how to do that, clearly. he hit the ground running, but now he's playing how I thought he was going to play. I did think he would need a season to embed into the side. And there does seem to be this really weird disconnect between him and the rest of the team. We focus too much of the play down the left-hand side through Doku when he plays. And again, it's almost as if we are forcing it. I don't understand why we're forcing it, because it's not working. It has never worked in any of these big games, and it never will work in any of these big games until Doku adapts his game. And you are asking a lot of a 21-year-old in his first season in a new league to do that and to adapt quickly on the fly in a Guardiola system. I don't think that's fair to ask that of him. So that's the Doku issue. Again, maybe not necessarily his fault, but still, he is an issue in these big games especially. Julian Alvarez. Guys, I do not have an Alvarez agenda, I promise, but I feel like I do keep talking about him every single game, but with good reason. Okay? It's not just because I hate him. I like Alvarez a lot. He's a fantastic footballer. But similar to the Doku situation, we've not won a big game this season where Alvarez has started. I'm pretty sure he didn't start. Oh, no, sorry. He did start at Old Trafford, but he was the worst player on the pitch. That's correct. Again, not necessarily his fault. He's a striker who's being asked to play as an 8-10 hybrid, whatever. A role he clearly cannot do. And again, I don't want to make it come across like I'm blaming him individually, because it's not his fault that he kept getting played in midfield. That is Guardiola's fault. That's on this bold fraud right here. Yeah? That's on this guy. You can't quite see him because of the chat. This guy. It's on him. Alvarez isn't playing himself in midfield. Guardiola is. So all of this criticism of Alvarez, really, you can attribute to Guardiola, I suppose. No control, no build-up ability, no or little high IQ decision making, I suppose is the term I want to use there. He makes the wrong decisions too frequently. If Alvarez isn't scoring goals or getting assists, can someone please let me know what he's offering? Because I think the answer's nothing. I thought the reason he was in the team this season was to replace or replicate De Bruyne's ball striking and the fact that we had no goals in the team without De Bruyne on the pitch, whatever. And I totally accept that in a situation where we're limited in respect of injuries and you don't have those options. So when De Bruyne was out, for example, I totally accept that. But outside of pressing, which is like the bare minimum that I expect from a Man City footballer to be able to press well, what does Alvarez give this team when he's asked to play as an 8 in that front two ahead of the pivot of Rodri Akanji or Rodri Stones, whatever? If he's not getting a goal, if he's not getting output, what does he do? Because that is the main issue I have when people try to throw in the GA argument of, oh, he's having a good season. A player needs to be able to have a good game without getting a goal or assist for me to consider them like a great footballer. If you can't have a good game without scoring a goal or getting an assist, then I'm sorry that you haven't had a good game more often than not. He doesn't offer anything. That's the main issue for the most part. I'm not saying that he's entirely useless because that's unfair, but for the most part in these bigger games, he does not offer anything. And actually, it's a detriment because not only is his existence on the pitch a negative, what is his existence on the pitch preventing us from doing? What is the fact that Alvarez is in midfield? What does that stop us from doing? Someone in the chat predict what I'm about to say before I say it. It's an easy answer. What is Alvarez on the pitch? What is his existence doing? What is it preventing us doing? Someone in the chat, please tell me. And I'll put it on the screen. It's in respect of... oh, there's lots of good answers here. It's not the answer I was after. It's in respect of another player on the pitch. What's it stopping us doing in respect of another player on the pitch? Can someone get it? There we go. Playing Foden in the midfield. Yeah, we got it now, guys. Sorry, I wasn't specific enough. There we go. Good. Exactly. We are accommodating a striker to not allow our best player this season to play in his best position. I have no idea what the thinking is there. Alvarez yesterday played as a double pivot player next to Rodri, as he did in the first game against Burnley. Now, that was Burnley, okay? So irrelevant. No offence to Burnley, but they're getting relegated. It's whatever. It's Burnley. You should be beating them easily. It doesn't matter if you play Haaland in the midfield against Burnley. That's fine. We're at home against Chelsea. And you set us out of possession with a 4-4-2 of Rodri and Alvarez as our midfield pivot. It's like... It's almost like he wants to win in the hardest manner as a sort of flex. I actually don't know what the... I don't know what the thinking is there. What is the benefit of playing Alvarez as a double pivot player next to Rodri without the ball? Because time and time again, we alluded to it earlier with Doku advancing and trying to push Disasi. That puts so much pressure on whoever our left central midfielder is without the ball, yeah? And Alvarez can't do that job because he's a striker. Not his fault. He's a striker. So time and time again, Gallagher, that sort of like triangle of like, you know, like Gusto, Palmer, Gallagher, bit of Caicedo / Enzo, were just tearing him apart. And that's why they're... So that combined with the weird Doku pressing meant that we had no defensive say down our left, down Chelsea's right, outside of Akanji, outside of Ake's fantastic 1v1 defending. So I don't get that. How can Pep conclude that Foden cannot play in that position, but Alvarez can? I'm talking about without the ball. I don't think Foden can play in that position without the ball against the best teams. If Foden can't do it, a midfielder, you're damn right, and a striker can't do it. It's just suicidal in my opinion. Alan says, please talk about the mess that was the pressing system yesterday. Oh yeah, Alan, we touched on that earlier in the stream. TLDR, we did not learn our mistakes from the Chelsea game, the Chelsea situation. Sebastian says, we saw one of the best possible lineups against Copenhagen, losing Grealish and resting Bernardo. Apparently made Pep go for an absolute madness instead. And yeah, and Sebastian, you're absolutely right. That lineup against Copenhagen was borderline perfect in what I would deem my preferred starting 11. Ake and Gvardiol for me is a coin toss, depending on who you're playing against. Also, he was out, so it's irrelevant. I would personally just have Akanji instead of Walker in that defence. But outside of that, the front five in particular, perfect. Brilliant. Beautiful. Unbelievable scenes. We love to see that. We really do. Against Brentford, Foden, midfield, central, hat-trick. One of his best games this season. We all know his best games have come from the midfield this season. And then, literally the next week, go to the touchline. Go to the right wing. Just, I don't care that you played your best games in the middle. I don't care that you've been our best player this season. I'm going to reward you by shoving you to the flank. And not even to play as a false winger. You're going to hold that width. And you are going to be a touchline player. As much as I love Foden, he is never, ever, ever going to be an elite winger. Never. He does not have the skill set for that. You can just use your eyes and see that. He doesn't have the lightning pace to create the space between him and the defender. He's not good at dribbling when it comes to stopping and starting. He's very good at dribbling when the ball is received to him and he's able to run onto it. That's fine. When he's in the operation of movement, he's very good at dribbling past defenders. But in terms of like you give him the ball stationary, he can't dribble past players in the same way that, you know, a Doku can or whoever. So he's never going to be that good out wide as a touchline player. So not only does it mean that we have created a net negative in terms of Foden's position, we've created a net negative by playing Alvarez in the midfield. And when those two net negatives combine, it makes it really hard to create chances and have a functioning midfield and to have a safe rest defense. In case you don't know what rest defense is, that basically just means what is your defensive structure like when you have possession? When we have Doku, Foden, Alvarez, De Bruyne, Haaland all attacking, our rest defense, how our defense is set up without the ball, is very fragile and very weak and very susceptible to opposition counterattacks. And we saw that against Chelsea. So yeah, I don't understand that. Just on, people have been asking about Akanji as well. Hello. So we'll chat about Akanji in a moment. Ain says thoughts on shifting Alvarez to the wing. I would much rather have him at right wing and Foden central than vice versa. If Alvarez has to start, and that's the thing, he doesn't have to start, I wouldn't be starting him. I don't think he deserves a place in our starting 11 in most instances. He's not. He's a very good player, but he's not good enough to be starting in most instances. But if you have to start him for whatever reason, yeah, shove him out on the right. Why not? Because he can at least press well there. That's fine. Yeah, people have been asking about the Akanji situation, which is totally agree. You've got Stones there on the bench, but let's assume Stones wasn't available. Let's assume that Guardiola has decided I can't risk another injury, so I'm not going to play him. Like, you know, two weeks on the bounce, whatever. So don't play with an inverted defender, or play Rico Lewis there because he's brilliant at doing that job. If you're gonna have most of the ball anyway, who cares about the physicality issues? Just play Rico Lewis there. It's fine. It's not an issue. Or get Kovacic on the pitch. Get Nunes on the pitch. Get an actual midfielder next to Rodri. Someone who can actually control the game. Too many times, Akanji got caught out, whether in possession or not being in the right position when City lost the ball. Too many times, too many turnovers happen in that game for my liking. And against, again, a good counter-attacking team like Chelsea are, with their fast players, they are always going to punish you. They should have punished us more than just scoring the one. It happened over and over and over again. So that's the Akanji issue as well. Again, it's not necessarily his fault because he's not John Stones. But at the same time, why Guardiola? Why are you doing this? EH says there's no leader in defense for the most part on an individual level outside of the Walker goal. I actually thought that Ake and Diaz for the most part, I thought they played quite well, to be honest. Guys, we have nearly 100 people watching the stream. Thank you so much, guys. As I said, this is the first time I've done this. If we keep getting support like this, I will do more of these live shows. Please make sure to leave a like on the streams to tell me you want more of these live shows. I'd really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. Get involved in the poll as well. Are City going to win the title this season based on this game? What do you think? Are you still 100% confident? Are you like 50-50? Or are you like, no, we've got no chance because Guardiola's not learning from his mistakes? I'll get into my thoughts on that situation near the end of the stream. What do I want to talk about next? There's so much to talk about and so much therapy to have in this live show. If you guys want to let me know in the comments as well. Iptra says he's 25% sure. Vinay is not confident at all. Briefly, I want to talk about Chelsea and how they played before we then get back onto City and what's the solution and will we win the title? On Chelsea. Disasi played very well defensively, and I thought, overall, Chelsea, in that first half especially, Chelsea were better than us. Let's make no mistake about that. Poch did make a big mistake, however. I think he went too defensive too early in that second half. Ultimately, didn't matter from a results results situation because they got the draw. So who cares? Whatever. But I don't know, and you'll notice I've basically focused more on how City played rather than Chelsea. I don't know how much credit I can give Chelsea for that game yesterday. This wasn't like an Aston Villa situation where they trounced us, battered us, humiliated us, and 100% deserved winners. Chelsea did enough in that first half, and they played well. But the second half, again, Disasi played well individually, sure, and the counterattacks were dangerous. Totally agree. But I don't know if I can say they played that well, because if you give the opposition striker an XG of nearly 2, can you truly say that you defended well? I don't know if you can. So that's why I'm a little bit reluctant to say that Chelsea were very good or whatever. I think the focus is more so on, this is more an issue of City's own making rather than Chelsea forces into those moments. First half, very good. Again, they probably should have scored twice at least. But the second half, as I say, I think Poch made a mistake. City should have scored 3 or 4 or 5, despite those structural issues we've talked about. City should have scored 4 or 5. And like Haaland especially should have had a hat-trick. So we've talked about the structural issues. Let's briefly touch on those individual ones as well. Yeah, Haaland should have had a hat-trick. Yes, that's absolutely fine. De Bruyne did create chance after chance for him and for others. But even the chances for Haaland, most of them were in the air. And despite him being, how tall is Haaland? Is he 6'5", 6'6"? He's a very tall man. He's not that good in the air. So I don't know why the main impetus was to create aerial opportunities for him. Because even though, yes, despite however good you are in the air, he should score them. He should score them. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But he's not the best in the air. He never has been. He wasn't for Salzburg. He wasn't for Dortmund. He wasn't for City. It isn't for City. So we need to be. I don't know. Again, I don't know why the main impetus was to try to create those crossing opportunities. Maybe it was because we had no central impetus, particularly from our left of centre, because of the issues that we've touched on with Doku and Alvarez. There was no creativity coming from there, and we were so reluctant to do anything down our right-hand side, which has De Bruyne and Foden on it. We just had no desire to attack down that right-hand side or foster chances down that right-hand side. As I say, the main focus down the left. I don't know why. Maybe that's why we resorted to crossing the ball in rather than trying to play it on the ground for him. When it was played on the ground, Chelsea did do very well, but aerially, yes, Haaland should do better. Haaland should score, but that shouldn't be the main way to try to create chances in this City team. We've never been that team, ever. Even when we had, Negredo in the team, we never focused on trying to... Or Edin Dzeko. Dzeko, he was a tall striker, not that good in the air. Negredo, tall striker, not necessarily that good offensively in the air. We've never been that team, when we've been good. When was the last time we focused on being good in the air? We're talking about over 15 years ago. So I don't know why that's the main avenue, as it turns out. Muha says, the fact Gundogan was let go for free and wasn't replaced properly is borderline criminal. And replacing with Alvarez, seemingly, is staggering to me. Staggering. I don't know. It was okay, and Alex, I'm not saying that we can never cross. I'm just saying that should never be the main impetus. I says we have a chance of winning the league only if we can rectify the issues we had. We're not good at all. Yeah, now let's touch on, shall we? Let's touch on... Because that's all like a short-term issue, and I am having a bit of a rant, and sure, am I overreacting because we just won 10 on the bounce in all comps? We just played another Big Six team. Am I being a hissy fit baby and overreacting? Potentially. Who knows? But I think that, and this was something I said in the Crystal Palace analysis video. I will be doing an analysis video for this Chelsea game as well, so make sure you are subscribed if you aren't already, so you can see that analysis video. I'll be covering what I have done in more detail with the stills, etc. I said at the end of that Palace video, if we don't solve that Walker problem, we will not win the Premier League. I thought we had solved the problem by Pep realising that he can't play the role that he's been assigning to him by moving to that different system and basically playing him as a final phase right winger where he can be less of a defensive and build up burden. That worked for a period. Walker's gone back to his old ways. I'm going to repeat, if we do not solve this Alvarez problem, this Doku problem, we ain't winning anything this season. If we see that lineup again, or on a consistent basis, we ain't winning anything this season. And that is not hyperbole. That is not an overreaction. I think that is a fair assessment. You do not win Premier League titles playing your best players in their suboptimal positions. You do not win the Premier League title by playing subpar or suboptimal players in positions that they have no right being within. We will not win the Premier League playing Akanji as John Stones. We will not win the Premier League playing Doku as Jack Grealish. We will not win the Premier League playing Julian Alvarez as Ilkay Gundogan. We will not win the Premier League playing Phil Foden as Bernardo Silva. It's a really easy remedy, a really easy solution. Play your best players in their best positions, and you will win football games. I'm so confident that if we just dropped Alvarez yesterday and played Kovacic there, or Nunes there, or Bernardo if he was fit, and like if we played Bob on the left, with just those, even playing Akanji as John Stones, with just those two changes, I am so convinced that we not only win that game, but we win it like 4-0. Because we are so much better than Chelsea, or rather should be so much better than Chelsea, when everyone is fit and ready and when everything is set and done. I'm so confident that we should have won that game at a canter. I don't care who the opposition is. I don't care if it's Chelsea and they've got ex-City players and there's a big narrative there and they've got some very good technicians in midfield. We are on paper a much better team. Guardiola on paper is a much better manager. Should is the operative word there, but we didn't. And again, I repeat, we will not win anything playing like that, or rather playing with those players. And that's why I'm not confident that we will win the Premier League this season. It's such an easy fix. Just don't play them. Or if you are going to play them, don't play them in that combination, or in that role, or in that system. It's such an easy fix. But I do not have any confidence that Pep's going to change it. Because why would I think he's going to change it when I've seen him this season play? I have seen him see Foden put in central masterclasses. I've seen him see Alvarez put in midfield stinkers. I have seen him see Doku offer nothing in the biggest of games. I've seen him see that Akanji cannot play as John Stones. I have seen him see that Walker cannot be a build-up defender. But he keeps doing it. So why should I have any confidence he's going to change now? And I don't. And that's why, as I say, it's not just hyperbole or exaggeration. I don't have that much confidence that he's going to change it, and therefore that we will win the Premier League title. If he changes it, I think we win quite easily. But he hasn't learned from his mistakes yet. So why would I think he's going to do it now? I don't know. Hello, JN Red. Why are you blaming Pep? Why are you not blaming Pep or Haaland? Am I talking to myself here? That whole 5-minute rant was literally just a blame game against Pep Guardiola, matey. What do you mean I'm not blaming Pep? I talked about Haaland and his missed chances earlier. What do you mean? I just gave a whole speech as to why I don't think we're going to win the Premier League because of Guardiola. What do you mean I'm not blaming Pep? He is the main man to blame here. All right, I apologise. We'll start the stream again, shall we? Right. Well, welcome to the stream, guys. This was an issue of Guardiola's own making, and whilst the players were responsible on an individual level, it's the manager who sets them up like that. I'm so confused. Maybe that was just a troll. I don't know. I'm staggered. I'm staggered. I'm staggered that that's just been said. Please listen with your ears rather than your arsehole. I don't know what else to say there. Pep is stubborn, says EH. Yeah, and that is why, and that is genuinely why I've gotten zero confidence that we are going to win the Premier League if he does not change, and if he doesn't accept and realise that these issues are at play. Yeah, right, okay, and Daniel raises a brilliant point here. Right, so yesterday, I if you're not following my Twitter, what are you doing? It's LNobbins on Twitter. It's quite good. I tweeted out yesterday my grievances with the game. I said how Pep, I didn't think he got the lineup right, that, you know, he's playing Alvarez wrong, basically echoing what I have said on this live show. And inevitably, with any fan base, obviously, you get people who don't like it when you criticize. Full stop. It doesn't matter about the context. You just shouldn't criticize. You should never criticize Pep Guardiola because he just won the treble last season. Whatever. Totally agree that Pep Guardiola knows a lot more than me about everything. He's a much smarter man than me. I'm a moron compared to Pep Guardiola. Totally appreciate that. And maybe just a moron generally. Who knows? But he is not exempt from criticism. As Daniel says quite rightly here, he is not a perfect man. He gets things wrong. We all get things wrong. We aren't all perfect. But some people decide that Guardiola knows more than you, so you can't ever say he's wrong. Why don't you go in the dugout? Why don't you manage, since you know so much more? Never once have I said that. But it's what we call, and you can have this one for free, guys, this is called an appeal to authority fallacy. This is where you don't actually argue a point, you rely totally on the expertise of someone else in your argument. That's what we call the appeal to authority fallacy. Google it if you want to learn more about it. But that's basically it. Oh, it's irrelevant what you say because the expert knows more, therefore they're correct. If an expert mathematician, for whatever reason, says 1 + 1 is 12, they're not right by virtue of them being an expert. In the same way that Guardiola is not always correct. Guardiola was not correct in the 2021 Champions League final when he didn't start a defensive midfielder, and Guardiola isn't correct now when he's trying to shoehorn in a striker into midfield and shoving a midfield out wide. What's that, Bailey? Nobbins looking like you already did a scrap with. Oh yeah, so I did pick my birthmark there earlier. Apologies for that. Seb says criticizing Pep when he gets the same thing wrong is totally justified. Blaming Holland for having the off game. Not seeing anything big picture. Yeah, and that was like an example I gave. So you know how so these same people will they will have no umbrage or issue with criticizing an individual player. Let's say, for example, let's take the Haaland situation because that's the most obvious example to pick on or to identify. Haaland should do better there. Okay, well, if I play your game, I can go, sorry, are you a professional Premier League striker? No? Didn't think so. Why are you criticising his striking then? Why are you criticising his finishing? He's the expert. He knows more than you. You can't ever criticise him. That is where the argument falls apart. So yes, we can absolutely criticise, review, critique experts' opinions, decisions, etc. It's totally fine for us to look at Guardiola, look at the decisions he's making, and go, I think that's a mistake, because it is a mistake, and it's a mistake which keeps happening over and over and over again. And again, just touching back on my previous conclusion, That's why I'm really not confident that we are going to win the league, because we should win the league, but we are making it so hard for ourselves for no real reason. UK says, I really believe we can win the Prem, believe we'll still find our form. It's not even about the form, to be honest, UK. It's just about how we get set up, to be fair. Why have City not beaten a top 6 side this season? Well, we did beat United at Old Trafford, to be fair, and we did also beat Spurs in the FA Cup. But again, I will ask the question, you know, Grealish played on the left against United, and Bob played on the left against Spurs. It's almost as if what you need in these games is more of a control-based method, where you need to be the decider in respect of the tempo. That's the main issue for me, which we've discussed, which we've touched on a lot. And again, I really need people to know that I don't dislike Doku. I don't dislike Alvarez. These are very young players, but they are being given an almost impossible task. So the buck stops with the manager, and this is why it always comes back to the manager, because it's not Doku's fault he keeps getting played in these big games, but he's not the right man for those big games until he's able to take his game to the next level and learn when to release the ball properly, and when he realizes that he's created space for someone else when he's being doubled up on. Don't try to dribble through the two players. You might be able to do it, but it's not the play. It's not the play. Find a teammate. Don't be so selfish. Find a teammate. But yeah, Rico would have done a better job in midfield than Alvarez. Yeah, and this is why Rico Lewis is a really valuable player for City. He is one of those control players. He's very good at knowing when to release the ball and not losing it. So there we go. All right, Joe, we talked about the clean sheet situation. It's basically a systemic issue about like the starting lineups where which do not facilitate control, and they just what am I trying to say? They feed into what the opponents want to do. I will repeat, apologies if I'm going over old territory. We all knew before the game how Chelsea were going to set up, how they were going to approach the game. Guardiola would have known that more than anyone else, as he did at Stamford Bridge. And yet, he didn't learn from that mistake, and he fed into it, and he played right into Poch's hands. Once again, I don't think that Chelsea were particularly good, especially in that second half. I don't think Poch got the tactics right in that second half. First half, yes. Second half, no. They were there for the taking. We should have beaten them comfortably. Ultimately, we didn't because of mistakes of our own making, and that is unforgivable. At the best of times, never mind. And on a day, and maybe this is why I'm so demoralised, on the same day that Arsenal batter Burnley, like humble, embarrass, destroy, and Liverpool destroy Brentford in respect to scoreline, beating them 4-1. That was like a message by them to us, because they played before us, obviously, going, right, we've done our job, respond. And we bottled it, and we didn't respond. And that's so un-City in these title races. And as I say, it stems from these weird personnel selections, and that's why this City side this season just feels a bit off. Even with De Bruyne coming back, we are relying on individual brilliance to save us. That's not always going to happen. Haaland last season, we relied on it a lot in the first half of last season before we finally settled on deciding to win the treble when we changed to our the treble winning system. We were relying too much on Haaland's individual brilliance. This season he's underperforming in respect of finishing. I think his overall play is actually better, but on finishing, he's been bad. Objectively bad. He's literally scoring less goals than he should be. That's what we call bad finishing. Yesterday, like 1.7 XG, 0 goals to show for it. That's a bad finishing display. De Bruyne came back. In the Newcastle game, we relied on his individual quality. Foden this season, we've been relying on his individual quality. You can only do that so much. I think Liverpool this season have been like, right, what's the term? walking the tightrope of relying on that individual quality. But they've been more so on the correct side of that tightrope than not. City are edging towards the other way now. There's only so much De Bruyne can do, because eventually your forwards will let you down, and eventually you won't be able to just rely on Haaland. Thankfully, we've got a clutch player like Rodri, but how often are we going to be able to rely on his clutch moments and his clutch goal scoring? It's unfair to always look to these players and go, right, Rodri will bail us out, De Bruyne will bail us out, Foden will bail us out. Sometimes the team has to come together and try to win as a team, as a functioning unit, and that is not what was on show against Chelsea yesterday for the most part and the majority of that game. When you have no proper build-up with Akanji and Alvarez, and you focus so much of the play down a flawed left-hand side, and you ignore your two best players on the pitch in De Bruyne and Foden on the right for the majority of the game, and you give Haaland chances he should score, but chances which aren't optimal, it results in a game where you drop 2 points in a crucial title race where you can't afford to drop 1 point, never mind 2. Maverick says, let's face it, by us not getting proper replacement for Mahrez and Gundo, South play had to change, and that's directly affects our midfield presence and the attacking. Now, I agree to an extent, but this and this is why I've not really said this so much this season, because we have had big injuries this season. But and I also know that we had Grealish out, Gvardiol out yesterday, fine. But there were enough players on that bench to come on, or rather start. Bob should have started. Kovacic should have started. Maybe even Nunes should have started. Daniel says, Doku touched the ball more than De Bruyne and Foden yesterday. That is an issue. I did not even know that. Yes, you are spot on. That is a big issue. And it goes, and I mean, that confirms what I was saying before. We're focusing too much of our play down the left. Focusing too much of our play down the left. And I don't know why. You show the graphic from the touches and the match outcome, says Faraz. I've not, but that graph that I make, which is to do with touches, is a two-pronged graph. Touches and position. Foden needs to get the ball, and he needs to play in midfield to basically guarantee City win the game. If you shove him out wide to touchline graveyard shift duties, there's a big chance we ain't going to win the game. Without John Stones, his tactics become trash, says PB Well, certainly if you're trying to play a John Stones system without John Stones, then yeah, it is it's incorrect to do that. Essentially, it is incorrect to do that. Sterling wasn't that good yesterday. We made him look good, says Sebastian. Sorry, Ram, what is your question? I can have a look at it if you'd like me to. Phone should be in the 10th save. Julian, totally agree. Totally agree. Pep thinks a different system will bring the same results as last season. And this was something I said in my Aston Villa video. You can't win the treble-winning system without your treble-winning players. That was a game where we didn't have Rodri. We didn't have Stones. Stones had to play like Rodri. It was just a really weird situation and a really weird game, and it resulted in our worst performance of the season. And again, if you don't play your best players in their best positions, and you do the opposite, you play your less good players in the best positions of other people, then it's just a two-pronged mess, and you are doomed to fail from the get-go and from the start. The other issue I've got so many issues. I've been talking for like nearly an hour, I feel like. I've got another issue I have. Is that Martin? Is that Martin? How you doing, mate? Phone that Wise wasted, 100%. He wants to come inside anyway. Exactly, he's a false winger. Kanji isn't a midfielder. Yeah. Alvarez being shoehorned in. Yeah. 4 or 5 games we played that midfield and it failed. Martin, you've basically done a TLDR of this stream. You're absolutely spot on with all of that. Yeah, there are so many errors. But again, before I get into this, next point I want to make, the main reason it's so annoying is because these issues are so easy to fix. These issues are so easy to fix. Alvarez is a problem in midfield. Just don't play him in midfield. There is no obligation to play in midfield. There's no obligation to play Kanji in midfield in a John Stones role. There's no obligation to play Doku in a game against a transition-heavy opponent where we can't afford to turn over the ball. There's no obligation. Another issue I have with that lineup and that the lineup and the concept of the lineup is that, what was our bench yesterday? Who did we have on the bench in terms of, like, you know, players who you think would genuinely come on? It was Bernardo. It was Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, Nunez, Kovacic. Am I missing anyone obvious? Don't know if I said Rico Lewis. Stones. What do you notice about all of those players that I've just listed there? What are they all? What would you associate them all with relative to the players that are out on the pitch and the starting lineup? What does the starting lineup have that that bench does not have? I'll give you guys a minute, and then I will if you don't get it, then I think you will. But there we go. Then we'll chat about it. We think about the midfield, City and the Spurs away from the midfield. Yeah, Iran, definitely. Yeah, that Spurs midfield, if memory serves, was actually good. Holland's poor, yes, but lost grammar a few days back. Players are human. Yeah, we touched on Holland, and again, the individual errors are a thing, but they all stem from the issue. And you guys have all got it. Well done. Controlling the midfield, the tempo, composure. They keep the ball well. Right. Yes. Now, why is that an issue? Why is it an issue to have these players all on the bench? That is your bench. Your bench is composure. Your bench is midfield. Your bench is tempo. Yeah, control, whatever. Why is it an issue for your bench to be that, but your starting 11 to be the opposite of that? I will tell you why that's an issue. Because it means that if you are losing a game 1-0, 2-0, whatever, or maybe you're drawing, you need a goal. You need to change the game state. What you have on the pitch isn't working for whatever reason. You need to bring on a player who can directly and rapidly impact the game and bring goals or bring output. There is no direct output on that bench. There is control and tempo. The sort of players you want to bring on in those moments where you need a game changer and you need someone who can score a goal out of nowhere and be that more decisive player is a direct player. You need to bring on a Doku, an Alvarez, even a Kevin De Bruyne. These sorts of players. Look at the Newcastle game. Nothing for most of it. We bring on Kevin De Bruyne, a game changer. Even like in the RB Leipzig game, I think it was away from home. Struggle. We bring on Alvarez. And I think he scores one of the goals, doesn't he? When we're away from home. If you don't have any game changers on the bench, you are not going to be able to change the game from the bench. That is my other main issue with that starting lineup. When you've got everyone who is direct and gung-ho as a starting 11, if that doesn't work, you are shafted. Because you are not going to be able to positively impact the game in that respect. You're not going to be able to play more direct and go for it. And go, all fucking gung-ho, whatever the term is. Because you are bringing on control players who can offer something else, fine, sure, but they aren't offering what you need in that moment. When you're 1-0 down, that's when you need to be bringing on Doku, bringing on Alvarez, bringing on Kevin De Bruyne, bringing on Haaland, Foden, whatever. You need to have at least one of them in reserve. So it's a two-pronged issue. You start with that lineup, it's too direct, we lose the ball, we give up counterattacks, we can't get a foothold in the game. But then secondly, if it does go to shit, and we don't blow away the opposition inside the first 60 minutes, then you have no proper plan B. And your plan B is to bring on players who will associate with, sure, more control, but do you need more control when you're in like the 80th minute and you're 1-0 down or whatever? Surely at that point, you just need to be going more direct and just going for it rather than being patient. So it's a two-pronged issue. And that's why I hated that starting 11 yesterday. When the team was announced, I was like, if you're in our Discord server, if you're on a Discord server, it's like a group chat where we talk about football and whatnot. You'll see that I put a message in there going, right, well, we've got no midfield, we've got no control, brilliant, can't wait to watch this. No, let's not go too far. It's not a pep out situation. Oh, Jack, if people want to join our Discord server, Jack, if you could do me a favor and create an invite link for people. If people want to, you can chat to me like every day in there if you'd like to. It's like a group chat basically, where we talk about football and not football, other weird things as well. We play games. It's quite fun. Martin, what a beautiful man. Bang on. It's a simple fix, and that's the good thing. Yeah, and that, Martin, this is what I was this is what we were talking about before. I think maybe just before you joined. It is a simple fix. All you've got to do is not play these players. Guys, if you want to join our Discord server, as I say, it's a group chat. We can chat to me and other like-minded football fans. It's not just for City fans; it's for everyone. It's sort of like a lads group chat. Whatever, you can click that link that my moderator Jack has sent there. You don't have to join, but if you would like to, you're more than welcome to. As I say, I mean, I'm active in there basically every day. Yeah, just going back to what Martin was saying, it is an easy fix. It should be an easy fix. But again, I'll repeat what I said earlier. I have seen Guardiola has seen what I have seen. His eyes are much better than mine. So if I can see the issues, if I can identify what the problems are, Guardiola will obviously have identified them at a much earlier stage. But again, so he has seen, as I have seen, Foden's midfield masterclasses, Foden's subpar performances in the big games when he's shoved out wide, Alvarez's subpar performances generally in the midfield, especially when he's not getting a goal or assist, Doku's subpar performances when he's shoved out wide, Bob's brilliant performances against Spurs and Newcastle when he came on, those big games, those big moments when he came on the left-hand side. Even against Aston Villa, I know we lost the game, but Bob was good when he came on that left-hand side. So he has seen all this. He knows the solution. He knows what we must do. And yet, he has not done it yet. And we are in late February. I don't know how many games are left. I can't recall at what stage last season we properly started to kick into gear and decided to go and win the title. But I feel like it was a similar point in the season. Someone can like correct me on the exact match week, whatever. That was a turning point, and it was Pep realizing like the mistakes he'd made in terms of lineups and systems, and finally finding the solution. Now it's another test. In my opinion, Guardiola has been bad's not the right word. He's making too many mistakes this season. This is like, I would say, I'm going to give him a free pass on the first season because whatever. I don't think it's unfair to say this might be his worst season from a managerial standpoint so far. I don't think that's not bad, but certainly if you had to rank them all, probably the worst in terms of like the errors that he's made. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic there. He's now got a big decision to make, as this chat has quite rightly said. He's got to realize that he has made those errors, and that he's got to see the error of his ways. He's got to get over that stubborn factor and realize that he can't persist with these flawed decisions, which we've touched on at length. Again, if we win our game in hand against Brentford, which we should do at home, especially if Brentford defend how they did against Liverpool, we will only be 1 point behind Liverpool. So it's not the end of the world in that respect. We've still got to go to Anfield. So in theory, it's in our hands. Obviously, the advantage will be with Liverpool because they're at home. But in theory, it is still in our hands, and in theory, we can still win the league. But again, we will not do that without those changes, which I've alluded to. We will not win anything by making those same mistakes. Alvarez in midfield, Akanji as John Stones in these big games, playing Doku, shoving Foden out wide. Again, if Walker plays, keep him away from any midfield responsibility or burden. I've made my thoughts and feelings on Walker known for a while. I think he should be dropped, but will he be brave, as Martin said, will he be brave enough to drop these players, which for some reason he's been relying on so much this season? I don't know if he will do that. Jay and Red, if you want to unfollow, that is absolutely fine. I could not give any less of a shit. Please vacate the premises. Thank you very much. Shoe pet. There's a reason nobody's ever won a 4-peat, says Beyond Belief. But that's I'm going to sort of like wrap it up here because I'm actually going live with I'm going live with LB I'm going live with LB at 2 p.m. So make sure to go to LB's channel when this ends. I don't know how to redirect. I'm a bit inept at that, so I don't know how to directly take you there. But if you guys could please, after this stream ends, go to LB's channel because I'll be there and we'll be talking about the game as well. So make sure to do that. You know who LB is. We do LBins. I'm sure you know who he is. He's like a massive city creator. You know who he is. What was I saying there? Yeah, the 4-peat. I'm going to wrap it up here. Final thing I want to touch on. Actually, no, 2 final things I want to touch on. So don't go anywhere. We should win the title this season. I was so confident we would win it this season. Let me tell you why. Guardiola's the best manager in the division. We have the best team in the division. We should be winning this game. I'm so sorry. Can you teach me after? Can you teach me after, LB? Go to LB's channel after this stream, please, guys. I'm so sorry. Right. Yeah. So yeah, just on the 4-peat, we should win it because we have the best manager, we have the best players, and if we don't win it this season, that would, in my opinion, that is an underperformance. That is an underperformance, and that's why I was so confident we would win it, and that's why I'm so angry because we should be making history this season by winning 4 in a row. But no disrespect to Arsenal, Liverpool, the rest of the division. If we do not win the title, it is an error and a mistake of our own making. It's an error and a mistake of our own making. Because we should be better than the rest of the division. Because we are better, in theory, on paper. In reality, we are making it harder for ourselves for no reason. I don't know why we're doing that. That's my sort of thoughts on that. Yes, so before I do my sort of like final thing, yes, guys, one final thing. Are you enjoying the stream? Are you enjoying this post-mortem rant analysis? Please, if you are, leave a like on the video. There's like 100-ish people here, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. I didn't know if anyone would turn up to this, to be honest. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Please leave a like on the video so I know that you like these streams, so I know you want more of these streams. I can't do more of these unless you tell me you like them by leaving a like and subscribing, obviously. So please do that for me. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you want to go the extra mile, you can become a YouTube member. There'll be a little join button. You don't have to, but that does support me directly, and it would be greatly appreciated. You'd also get to activate the Haaland printer. You know, which hasn't been activated on YouTube yet. So if you want to be the first person to activate the Haaland printer and become a YouTube member, I would hope it would work. Oh, actually, I need to open that for it to work. Maybe that will work, I don't know. Like now or else indeed. The other thing, guys, don't go anywhere. We are streaming on Twitch later today. I also stream on Twitch. I do the watch-alongs on YouTube and Twitch, but we do mainly gaming over on Twitch. So we're doing Football Manager later today. We are playing as Grasshopper Zurich. So we'll be live at 4 o'clock. So we'll be watching the United game in the background at the same time. So if you want to have a chat with me, if you want to watch me fail as managing Grasshopper Zurich, then please join me on that. The Twitch is just LNobbins. The link is in the video description. So yes, I am streaming on Twitch later. So please make sure to join me for that. As Jack, my moderator, says, like now or else. Nobbins therapy sessions are the best ones. Well, hopefully, as Mark says, hopefully it's going to be more positive next time and we don't need to worry about that next time. So, final housekeeping. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. Leave a like. I want to add more live shows in the near future, not just with me. Like LB, for example, has very graciously said that he would be willing to come on to shows with me. I'd like to get other City fans, City content creators involved. So I don't know if Martin's still here, but if like Martin would like to come on, that would be great. I'd also like to get some rival fans on so we can have a chat, and also still solo shows with me. The idea would be like one solo show, one city-centric show, and then one show with me and like a rival or two. So if if you guys like the sound of that, please leave a comment right now, NOB, knob. If you like the sound of those 3 shows, like as a concept, let's comment knob right now, NOB. Get your knobs out in the chat if you want those sorts of shows. Type NOB right now, and then I will know that you want to do that. NOB, get your knobs out, guys. There we go. We've got the knobs out in the chat. Love it. Oh god. Right. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please go to LB's channel right now, because I am an idiot and I don't know how to redirect people. There's like still 100 of you there. I want all of you to go to LB's channel right now, when the stream ends, which is about to end in like a minute. Please go there. I will be there. LB will be there. We'll discuss the game and more, and we'll be able to rant together, hopefully. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you have enjoyed it. It's been a great stream. I will see you in a moment on LB's channel. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. Goodbye, guys.